Currently, I am working full time as a cybersecurity engineer and an analyst, but they love to call me consultant, so I'm sort of like a whole package, but I don't want to be a consultant because I'm not, I don't consider myself sales. Anyway, I currently also do cyber for space technology. So your vulnerability assessment for RF and how the nodes between those communication media work and how you can hack those. Okay, so today's workshop is all about teaching you guys awareness on malicious websites, how to make them, and hopefully you don't get the source code so that you can make it, so send it to your friends and start hacking them and stuff. But I just wanted you guys to see how it's made and what it looks like, so you be aware of what to look for just in case it happens to you. Because the way I'm showing it to you now, right, is the source code that I'm using are live source code from a SOC, Security Operations Center, that was grabbed from an email that I reversed engineered myself. So I have a copy of the source code, of the malicious source code, and I actually reversed the whole thing. And I'm showing, say, about 60% of it, just so you can't recreate everything and start being malicious to people. But you will get, if you're curious enough, you'll definitely get to the total completion of the whole payload. Okay, so that's sort of the journey that we're gonna do today in the next 45, maybe an hour max. But yeah, that's gonna be the agenda of today's workshop. So just to go through this quickly, Australia's current landscape, according to ACSC, in 2021-2022 financial year, there has been a lot of increase of cyber attacks or cyber crimes noticed in Australia, and you probably would have it's still probably fresh on your minds that has increased again from 2022 to 2023 financial year. The report is not out yet. That'll be out in October. But with the addition of what happened in Optus, what happened in Medibank, what happened with the big financial one recently, that big Ascent, I think, got hacked a week ago now. So it's not even on the news yet, but just because I'm in sort of the industry, I sort of know. But they're going to make that public soon. These things are happening a lot more in Australia. It can be seen in the industry a lot more. So more awareness is what we need to actually to combat this kind of stuff. Okay? Now, one of the things that we need to do as users or as individuals is to make sure that we have a good password hygiene. Okay? So quite intensively, we've all been taught that how do you make your password secure? All right. Well, one of the things that they're going to say is make sure your password is 50 characters long, which is impossible because you'll never remember a 50-character long password. Yeah. So, but it's very important that you know how to protect your accounts, your online accounts, or your online presence against typical hacks. Right? So what I'm going to show you is who here uses password managers? You do? You? What password manager?
Bin Warden.
Oh, well, he's paid for it. Yeah?
The rubbish one in Firefox.
Firefox, yeah?
The free Warden.
Freewater. That's just one device.
No, it wasn't
No,
open
that's
source.
yeah, the paid one is just like 1 gig.
I'm getting ripped off then. I should get to that. Who here uses the Google one? The Google Password Manager? No shame, because I use it.
I used to use it.
I use it myself. I actually get my kids to use it. So everyone at home uses it. Okay? So, do you know how those passwords are kept by Google? So normally, right, when you log into a Windows machine, you log in with the username and the password, yeah? So that password that you put in actually gets stored into memory. So it doesn't actually, what Windows is going to do, you type in the password, that password will immediately be encrypted, and the hash will be put into memory. And that's how it's going to be compared to your system so you can log in. It will never store the clear text password. Okay? So Google Chrome doesn't do it that way. I haven't actually turned it on, sorry. I have a Windows 11 VM. Hopefully it doesn't crash. Hopefully I have enough memory. So, what happens is, when you type in your password in Google Chrome and you do save it, it gets saved into the disk, your hard drive. That means it lives there until you delete it, or you programmatically or manually, however you want to do it. So it's there. Compared to the Windows one, if you restart the computer, it gets lost because it's on memory. Yeah? So that's a big difference. With Google Chrome, once you save it, it's there. It's the same for Firefox, to be honest, and it's the same for Edge. It's just a matter of threading your way into the file system and finding them. But I've highlighted Google Chrome because, for me, I think they've done it really well. Sorry, it's recorded. Yeah, I think they're the worst one on this one. Yeah. Good old Microsoft, my VM is updating. So 90%.
Does it ever stop updating, really?
Because I have a dev one, I don't pay for a license. I have to do it, otherwise I have to do it. There's a happy way of doing it, but it's one that I feel like just the basic stuff. So what it does is it encrypts your password, yes. That's cool. And it stores it in the disk. But in the same file where it stores the password, hash, right? So the encrypted password. Cybersecurity researchers found that in the same file, Google Chrome stores the key to unencrypt the password. So while we're waiting for this, I'll show you where that is. Oh, actually, it turned on. Just so I don't look like a liar, we'll show you. Being slow there, my friend. Okay, so Windows 11 operating system, we'll start from the root, drive C. Go to the users folder. Go to the user that you're logged in as. Now, you're looking for this hidden folder, app data. If you can't see it, that's because it's hidden. So what you got to do is go to View, Show, and then Hidden Items. You just got to tick that just to make sure you can see this. Go to that, and this is basically where all your application data actually goes into. Okay? There's local data, there's local LoR, there's roaming. You want to go into local folder. Go into Google. That's what we're looking for. Chrome. User data. Okay, so this is the application data that Google Chrome uses, and what we're trying to. Okay, what's that? Oh, that's the dev stuff. What we're trying to look into is this local state file. Okay, so if you just try to open this with, let's open it with a text editor, say Visual Code. That's the text editor that I don't normally use a lot. So you could see, you could see that. If you look at it, you will notice it starts with the curly braces, and it will end with the curly braces. So for me, as and for a lot of you people, especially the third years, you'll know that that's a JSON sort of file. So you can sort of beautify it just to make sense out of it. But what we'll do is I've actually saved it already here. That's what it looks like. Once you save it as a JSON file, and then you prettify it. That's what I do basically, prettify. And then just to make you can see the key and the value pairs, right? So if you go to the top of this file, the one thing that you can see pretty obviously is this key and the value. That is the key that you need to unencrypt the data inside this file. And the encrypted data is all this stuff. Yeah? So, if you think about it logically, you have a lockbox that was put in a hidden folder, hidden file, whatever, right? But inside the hidden folder, they also included the key to unlock the box. All you have to do is to run a few Python, programmatically do it. Otherwise, you can do it manually, but it's very tedious work. So what I did, and this will be available we'll make the source code available in a GitHub repo, so you can try it on your own, right? Now, so I'll explain it later. You can use this, try it on your own, so make sure it works. It will definitely work for Chrome. There's a few things you have to change for Firefox, but we're going to try and run it. Okay? So rather than run it on the terminal, I'll just run it here. Okay, so in this VM, Google Chrome says you have two accounts, let's say. One of them is on Canva, jim@example.com. I registered a username and an account, and that's the password. Encrypted in that local state file, but unencrypted using the key inside that same file. Yeah? And this is me trying to, you know how you can make a random password based on the password manager? So that's the password randomly generated by Google Password Manager, but you can sort of see there's always a way around getting those passwords. You know? So now what would make sense for you right now is, okay, so right, I know now how to grab passwords and accounts, usernames, and actual URL where those usernames can be used, right? But that's if I have access to your computer, and you guys don't, unless they're sleeping and they let their computers open and you're there. You suddenly just hack the whole source code and try to do this, but obviously you can't do that. So what you need to do is hack someone, right? Now I'm not saying you should. That's what they did, the malicious people, right? Now, the reason I was showing the report before, one of the things it highlights, right, is the most common vector of attacking or hacking back then and until now is still phishing. It's the most common delivery method of malware. So you gotta be really, really vigilant when you're looking at an email. Okay. So for example, or just to verify this, just so you know I'm not lying and I didn't just make that print code or something. If you go to passwords manager, those are the Canva one. So, it's the same password, basically. That's just, to verify that it is there. It is in the password manager of my Google Chrome. This, as you can see, this system is fully updated, both Chrome and the OS. And that script works. So, it's not a matter of, a vulnerable system. It's not a vulnerable system. I guarantee you that. Okay, so what are we talking about? Oh, now I remember. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. How do you deliver this stuff? Right, so you deliver it by phishing. Right, you create an email, and then with the email you put in a link, and then ask them, click me. You go, Richard, I have a thing that you should look at. Click this picture. That kind of stuff. So one thing that I will show you. Okay. Aha, this one. Okay, so I made this website. Richard and I were actually in the same topic doing website stuff. We had an HD, so really good. Things we've learned from Ricard. Yeah? Simple things, HTML, nothing to really be fancy about. Just just an HTML page. A small script that's going to be really important when we analyze it, right? This script.js. We'll analyze it later, but I'll show you what it does first. I'm going to try and serve the website on a web server built in VS Code, just so you know. I did put this on AWS, but I got scared that, it might get flagged. Okay, so pretty normal. Yeah, you can sort of say. It's crude. It's a 5-minute copy of the Google website. So, but it's possible, yeah? You can unless you're really into, because you should have some footer if you're looking into a real Google. But I guarantee you all that thing is the same, because I just copied the actual render HTML from the client browser. Okay, so, but, again, you'd get this website and it looks like nothing. And then you can do a lot of things. You could do your normal stuff. You can search who is Alistair. Oh, oh my God. Just drop his whole name. You could do anything like Chat GPT. Yeah? So it's a proper thing, right? Now, other than the most dead giveaway is the actual the link. But that's because I served it on my own VS Code, right? What else is different?
Not to sound like your mum, but I got to press you one of these.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Forgot about that.
What else is different? Sorry, what? The text box? Okay. That's probably more a testament of my CSS skills. But these are the small things that we actually have to look out for. These small things when you're used to Google, you'll definitely notice it's definitely a knockoff. And if it's a knockoff, if you think it's a knockoff, it probably is. So, what else? What else do you reckon is different? Yes, but again, let's try to ignore that for now just because I'm serving this on VS Code, okay? But that's definitely one of them. When you get redirected to, because this particular one, it actually, you won't actually see that URL because this is a drive-by. It actually pushes you here for half a second and then it redirects to where you need to be. But this specific one does something really, really special. What else?
You don't have any of the special, like the voice to the microphone icons in the search bar?
The micros. Yes. Okay. So again, that goes to what he's saying. The how it feels, the overall looks. Yeah. So yeah. Yep. 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 Yes. Oh yeah, yeah. But the time when I copied it is actually there. It keeps disappearing, and that's by design. I'm not sure. Have a look at this. Can you see that red thing? Blinking. It's not blinking anymore. It's solid. Where you close the tab, what does that indicate? You're being recorded. Now, tell me, did I click anything to activate that? That's actually, I was just demonstrating that you can do everything like normal Google stuff in this page. But what you need to understand is you only need to be here to actually be exploited. You don't even need to actually click, and I can turn on your microphone and your camera. Now the reason, or a proof of concept is that's your victim thing, right? So other side of the world, the victim goes to this website. On my side of the world, this is what I see. So again, you don't need to do any interaction on the victim side. You can just turn it on. Thanks to our, I don't want to mention, the source of it, but I reversed it from a live one. Yeah, so I'll show you how it's done. Now, not for the sake of doing it on another person, but just for the sake of learning and being aware. I told you our agenda today is awareness. How these things happen and what to look for. So something you need to look for is that red blinking stuff. If that's on any website, that means you're being recorded. That means your camera is on. That means your microphone is on. Okay? Cool. All right, let's go back to the source code. Cancel that, because you don't want to be seeing me all the time. Script. So what's that? Like 34 lines of code. Again, we'll make this available in our GitHub repo together with the Chromify Python code, so that you can, play with it the way you want it, but just simple JavaScript. That there's nothing even malicious with it. It's just, it's normal stuff. It's normal event listener, Richard. That's all it is, really, isn't it? It's the same thing when you hover. Well, it's what you use to automate things in your website. It's nothing particular. It's really just the imagination of someone or a web developer trying to be, malicious. So on the HTML page that's being rendered, you won't see that. You'll have to actually dig into the resources of your browser to actually see the JavaScript. But that's all it takes to do this. Now, when you try this, you might see a flaw, and that's intentional. Again, that's because I didn't want you guys to have a live malware to start sending to people. What happened with the lights? It's like God's coming. Okay, so is that sort of clear? Is that interesting at the very least? Yeah? Cool. Now, how do you now tell people to go to this? So like I said, what you will do is you'll craft an email, and let's just quickly craft an email. This is pretty obvious. So all you gotta do is www.google.com, right? So it makes a link automatically, a hyperlink. All you gotta do is right-click it and then change the hyperlink and go to www.malicious.com. Yeah? So the hyperlinks change. It actually changed the whole thing, but you can actually just change the hyperlink. I don't want to go into much detail about that, but you guys know how to do that, yeah? But it will just be the same text that they will see on the email, and the only way to actually find out is this is really, or it needs to be a common practice for security. Is before you click links, especially from emails you don't know or you don't expect, hover over it first and make sure that it's gonna take you to where you expect to be taken. Yeah? If it says google.com, just make sure it's taking you to google.com, not to googly.com, that kind of stuff. Okay? So, piecing everything together, right? Before I showed you how to extract passwords of your Google browser, how to extract the URL, how to extract the username, and the password for that URL and that username. So you have the account, you have malware to pull that account. So being creative here, rather than turning people's Wi-Fi on, what are you going to do? Turning people's camera on. What you going to do? Rather than turn people's camera on, run that script. Right? Run the program that steals people's password and send that to somewhere, make sure that you don't get caught. Now, send it to, to the C2 server of the malicious hacker, right? That's how you get this thing running. And that's how this whole thing evolved. How I saw it, how I investigated it, and how I reversed it, and grabbed all I got the vector, got the payload, got the source code, everything. Okay? So that's what you got to do. Now, going back to what we were, actually I closed it. Going back to where we were in the presentation before. Where were we? Hi, hiya. Okay. So we've done that. I've showed you how Google Chrome stores your password. Now, this came out very recently. Check these two links, right? In March, they announced that they're changing their stance on how you should do your password. Yes? It went, thank you. No, we're not finished yet. Okay, so in June 15, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, they actually brought out this recommendation, right? Now, this is apparently how Microsoft recommends us as individual handle password hygiene. Okay? Now, take a look at the recommendation now compared to before. Before, they were actually advocating more, at least 12 characters. Now, 8 characters is enough. They're going back on that. Yeah? Number 2 and number 3, eliminate things that they implemented before. Okay? Now, don't just eliminate it. There's a reason for doing it. You know those character compositions where you have hashed these, different characters. The psychology of it is that us humans will not, we don't have memory banks like computers. We can't remember this stuff, right? So what's going to happen, tends to happen, is you'll forget it, you'll reset it, and you'll go back to a password that you've known forever. And everything will be the same again. All your accounts will have the same passwords again with the old passwords that you were using. That's why they're sort of reverting to this, right? Number 4, definitely ban common passwords. And when I say common password, hopefully 2023, we're all, everyone here is security aware. No one's using password as password. Yeah? Or at least password 123. Hopefully no one's using that as a password. If you are, definitely change that, please. But, as a security analyst, I would, you'd be surprised what we see out there. People still do use it. Admin, very common. Still common, to be honest. Right. Educate yourself on the whole password hygiene concept, right? And I highlighted number 6 and number 7 because there's actually no better way of protecting your online accounts right now in this current cyber climate or landscape other than implementing MFA or two-factor authentication. If it's an important account, you need to enable MFA. At the very least, for your emails, right? That's an important account. All your Microsoft accounts, doesn't matter if it's one that you created when you were a child, there's a lot of things that can be done with it. You know, some of you might think, I'm a nobody. Why would someone hack me? Or what are they going to do if they get my details, right? In the US, with just your full name, your social security, and your phone number, they can create massive loans against your name. Just those three things. So in Australia, it's a little bit harder, but it's definitely happening. Stealing your PII, personal identifiable informations, can lead to identity theft, right? Or accounts that's been set up that you don't know of. And that basically, so another thing, the other one was Microsoft. This is from the Cybersecurity Society. What you should do, okay? Number one, although the hack that I shown you before was on an updated machine, updated browser, definitely do not forget to update your systems. If you can, put it on auto update. Microsoft, if you're a Microsoft user or Windows user, Microsoft, there's the first Tuesday of every month is called security update release. Okay? At the very least, you need to always apply those updates happening on the first Tuesday of every month because that protects you. Some of the other ones are features, and a lot of times if there's a massive hack, a very vulnerable thing, they will push it out ahead of the first Tuesday of every month, but don't miss security updates. Okay? Number two, the society advocates to definitely use MFA, right? And any form of MFA, that will definitely make it harder for these malicious actors to get into your accounts. Lastly, do what you're doing now. Learn security awareness. You're here because you're trying to know more about this kind of stuff. Just looking at the vulnerability or the hack that I showed you before, how we can turn on microphones and camera without even the user clicking on the website, right? Hopefully that showed you what can happen with these kinds of attacks. And with the combination of the password stealer source, the program that I created, definitely that will, could potentially be more disastrous. And that concludes the, my workshop today. Hopefully you guys find it informative. If you have any questions, please do let me know. Any questions? Yeah?
You said you tell your kids and families to use Google Password Manager, but then just show how not secure it is.
Yes, so I know it's a contradiction, but something is still better than nothing. Yeah? If you don't use a password manager, any form of password manager, as humans, we can only remember up to 4 or 5. Maybe if you are really smart, you have eidetic memory, you could remember 12. You can't remember more than 12. You'll definitely reuse passwords, okay? And what's going to happen, you get hacked on one, you get hacked on a few. So don't reuse passwords. That's the benefit of still using password managers. Now, I'm not saying that we just hacked Google Chrome, right? That it's not safe, right? It's a combination of things. They still need to get in. Like I said before, they still need to get into your system to do that kind of stuff. So don't let them, you know. Be aware that phishing is the most common vector of, giving you this malware. The most common system of delivering these things. So be aware what a phishing email looks like. When somebody emails you that you won a trip to the Bahamas, it probably isn't true. Unless you're actually registered on a competition that wins you a trip to the Bahamas. All right? So just be vigilant on the things that you receive. Okay? Yes?
What's the best and the worst form of MFA?
Okay. Good question, because you will find a thread somewhere in the internet that there's only actually 2 recommended MFA. One of them is YubiKey. That's the most secure one. The next one would be Microsoft Authenticator. That app on your phone. All the other ones, Google Authenticator, they're good. I'm not saying they're not, but they've been hacked before. So I always just advocate for those 2. The Microsoft Authenticator is free. So, you don't need to pay for it. All you need is a phone, which everyone, I think, nowadays have. A YubiKey, if you're really, paranoid about your accounts, definitely buy one. It's about $50. But, that associating your account with a YubiKey means your account can only be logged in when the YubiKey is present. It doesn't matter where the attacker would be. They can't log into your account unless they have the YubiKey. So they have to physically rob you first and then hack your account. Anything else? Yeah.
On that, with the rise of MFA being pushed for a lot of things,
Yeah.
have you seen increased attacks against mobiles, specifically considering how they're becoming more and more integral to security in general?
Seen, because I'm not in that mobile sort of pen testing domain, not personally. I have seen a lot of threads about hacking MFA. So, but the actual mobile stuff, because I'm not in that domain, I try to specialize on a few things. I haven't seen so much, but definitely in the MFA, there's even a whole event just hacking MFA. I think it's in America. It's in Colorado. I can't remember the name of the event, but there's an actual event for it, hacking MFA. And that's how these things got ranked, these devices. Yep.
Would you recommend, or what are your thoughts on the idea of using pen and paper as a password manager, considering something you mentioned before, where that would be the only option, not the only option, sort of hide you physically wrong?
Actually, I never thought about it. It's the first time I've actually. That gets me thinking. I don't know. Actually, because I've never thought about that question. So I would think it's going to be really, really hard. That means either you bring the notebook with you all the time, where all the passwords are, and that becomes a single point of failure, or it becomes really, really inconvenient. So I'm not sure. I have to get back to you on that one. That's very thought-provoking. But let's stay digital. Save the trees. Yeah. Yeah, I get what you mean. I guess it's going to be beneficial for per use case basis. But even with a very complex password, say your password, for example, you have a Bitcoin password. For your exchange of your Bitcoin, you are mandatory, it's mandatory that your password needs to be 32 characters, right? So for people who deals Bitcoin here, you probably know this. Surely you can't remember 32 character passwords. unless you use a fast phrase that is a whole song. Probably I don't know. Say hello to my little friend. That kind of stuff. So but if you can't use a password manager for keeping a password, at the very least, still do an MFA. MFA is your second layer of protection. That means that the password that you put in needs to be verified by a second factor of authentication. But I'll actually ask that at work. What if you use paper as your password manager? That's amazing. That's pretty good. Anything else? Cool. So we'll end it there. Oh, by the way, this is something that Zach is going to promote another workshop for a different club, but I really advocate this for students because something that I found is lacking is actually a topic, or at least for my degree, a knowledge base on the use of Git or a version control software. Okay, so I'll give it to Zach for a little bit, and then just to promote his workshop that's happening soon.
Hi guys, so I don't know if you all know me, my name's Zach. I'm a second year software engineering student. I'm quite involved with the Computer Society, so not quite as much cyber with Jim. At the end of the month on the 26th, so it's Wednesday of week 1, so we'll have our club stalls on Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday night here in the Tonsley Theatre, I'll be running a workshop for teaching basic Git and GitHub skills. So I've got some little handouts here if you want to sign up. So it's a free event. Basically, it will be about an hour for us to go through some really basic skills. So being able to push, pull, commit, create repos. And I've got some challenges. Yep, thank you, Alistair. So like I said, it's a free event. It's a really good way if you've heard of Git but have no idea how to use it, or you want to learn. It's basically a really brief look at using Git. So as far as I know, it's never taught. I know in CP2 they use SVN, which is it's version control, but it doesn't have many features that Git does have. So Git is something you almost certainly use in the workplace. I know I used it for a few different projects, and I will use it for more with uni. And it would just be great if you guys want to learn to come along and join us. It's here in the theatre. It will also be online and recorded. So if you can't come on the night as well, we'll have multiple ways for you to access it. So it's sponsored by GitHub. So we've got some GitHub prizes and stuff as well to give away. And it'd be really fantastic to see you all there and learn about Git together.
So again, I can't stress this enough. Really, really important. As a student, right? I'll show you something. So this is my GitHub repo. Top right.
So if you go there, profile.
There you go. Okay. So the things that I learned while in uni, the codes that I do, I actually upload on my own repo. Okay? Because I knew when the time comes that I have to face interviewers or job prospects, I'm going to show them this. Right? In my resume, in my CV, one of the things above my name is my actual repo. And knowing how to use it. And I've been into 3 different IT companies now, even before finishing uni. I, I couldn't stress the importance of this. It's the one language that it's used by all companies, regardless of the coding language that you will be using. Everyone will use Git. Yeah, so definitely come to the workshop so you'd have the fundamentals of it, and then explore it a little bit more. First year, you start collecting your projects, your thing, try to make it beautiful after you submit it, just so you can show it off to interviews. It's really, really important. Something that they interview is check is your LinkedIn profile and your actual GitHub, your repo, to actually know if you you know what you claim in your resume. Okay, so very important that that actual workshop. Okay, so for the benefit of the people who just came in, we actually showcased how to siphon off usernames and passwords and the links of your Google Chrome browser, and how to do a website that would look like one of these. I'll show you just quickly. Did I? So that's the website that I made. Basically, looks like Google. Other than a lot of people found that I did a very poor SCSS job. But if you look at this one, without doing anything on the website, that red icon turned on, and it basically means that you're being recorded just by going on the website, right? And what you can basically do is, that's what you can see on your end, and on the attacker's end, this is what he can see. So he can see what you have on your browser. Okay, so I showcased that during the thing. I think you missed it, but this thing's going to be recorded. It's going to be on the society's YouTube page, and the source code will all be uploaded to our GitHub repo. So have a play around with that source code and fork it, put it into your own repo, and actually show it off. Make a contribution to it, and then you can definitely show it off to your next job interview. Yeah. Yeah. So the best way is to actually just, it's CSOC, isn't it?
You might want to Google us instead.
Okay.
Flinders Cybersecurity.
Is it this top one?
No, you need to type it in.
Oh.
Top one.
That's a website.
And then it's down the bottom.
Okay, so that's our logo. That's where you'll see the source code for the workshop today. Okay? Now again, before you start forking the source code, downloading it for yourself, the agenda or the aim of the objective of today's workshop is not so that you have a malware at your disposal, right? The objective is so that you are aware on what malware looks like and how it's deployed in the wild, okay? So please don't use the source code for malicious intent. But yeah, it will be up here soon. And that's it. That's me for today. Thank you guys for coming. That's exactly an hour. The Cybersecurity Society, Flinders University Cybersecurity Society, we have a monthly workshop. We do this every month. First Wednesday of every month. This month because it's the second Wednesday. But we showcase different things about cyber. We also showcase a gamified way of learning and participating in cyber events like secret games. So if you're interested in that, please join in and try to join in our Discord server so to know what's happening within the society. Okay? Thank you very much for coming and have a good night. Applause, applause.